Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Ash to Dusk. All right, we're just going to dive right on in here. I am wearing a black robe, which is totally out of the norm. I've been trying to switch up robes because here's the thing. I don't know if any of you are like this, and if you are, please put it in the comments of this podcast or like shoot me a DM. I am the worst when it comes to buying something online, like from Amazon, and then I don't like it, or I ordered multiples so that I could see which one I would prefer, and then I don't send it back. What is I can't unpack that. I don't know why I do that. It feels like so much of a chore to have to get the label, to put it back in the original packing, to go send it or drop it off at a location where they'll send it back. Like it is so much for me. And in fact, this last speaking tour that I was just on last fall, so the fall of 2025, if you follow me, you kind of know that my thing has been showcasing different outfits that I wear. And they're simple and pretty casual but they're just things that I know a lot of you have enjoyed following. So I will just wear a different outfit for each day of the tour. And I thought to myself, like, well, I don't want to be spending a ton of money, right? And I hopefully can wear these clothes again. But I was like, all right, everyone that I talk to when I see someone wearing a cute outfit, they're wearing something from Amazon. I bought all of these clothes from Amazon. Well, they were super affordable. So I was like, this is fantastic. I can get five things for the price of one thing at Express or White House Black Market. Um, and so I bought all of these clothes, not with the intention of keeping them either, because, like I said, I just wanted to try different things on. Most of them did not fit me. Does that happen to you when you shop from Amazon? Like, what is up with this? Do these really fit people? Like, am I that far? Is my like figure just that out of touch? I don't know. But anyways, there were a handful of things that worked, and the rest of the 20 something things did not. And this was right before I was leaving for the tour. The tour was basically 5 weeks long with just a couple of days home in between. And I said to my husband, Mike, babe, will you please take these back for me? All right. Like, here's all the clothes. You guys, he he was the husband that he is, which was awesome. And he was like, sure, I'll do it, whatever. And but when he got there, the guy was so frustrated because Mike didn't have everything like lined up, like the labels. They were trying to figure out which, like, what it went to. And I didn't know, like, I don't know, right? I don't know how this works. So he was like, I am never doing that again. Do not order so much and then expect me to take it back. Is like fair. But I'm saying that to you because when I started the podcast, I knew I wanted to sit in a robe. I knew for whatever reason in my mind, I was going to sit in a really comfy chair. I wanted to have a blanket and I was going to wear a robe. And mainly because I start my day off in a robe every single day. And I oftentimes put on a robe right before I go to bed because I know this is TMI, but I don't really like to wear very much to bed. Okay. I don't like the texture of like clothes wrapping around me and I'm getting tangled in the sheets. So it's very minimal. But I say this because I, I like simplicity and a robe. I was like, I'm doing a podcast in a robe and I don't need to think about what I'm going to wear. But I wasn't quite sure yet, like my color scheme, like the branding. I didn't know what kind of robe because I only had two robes. One was silky and one was like the red one you've seen me wear around the holidays. And this is such a long story. So it's going to tie into the point of the podcast, I promise. But I only had two robes. And then I'm like, well, am I going to just wear the same robe like for every single episode? And then I started overthinking it. And I'm like, yeah, well, Steve Jobs and, Zuckerberg, like they have always worn the same outfit every day, all day. And I was like, so I probably could. And anyways, I was getting in my head and I didn't know what colors. So needless to say, I ordered a few different, maybe a little bit more than a few different robes. And I thought, I'm not dealing with sending them back. I'm not doing it. And so this is the only one that I got that's black and totally not my brand because my brand is very much like, the champagne, the browns, the terracotta orange, like so here's the point. Here's where we're getting into what the topic is going to be today is confidence. And I know some of you are struggling with this. It's like you you just say to yourself, "Well, if I was confident enough, this would be easier." Listen, I struggle with it every single day. People think because I go out on stage talking that I'm just like full of confidence. It's no, confidence sometimes it's a skill. It's something that you're not born with. You have to practice it and you have to hone in on it. And I was all in my head about wearing this black robe. Why? I don't know. And then I'm like, I'm getting ready to do an episode on confidence. So I'm going to put the black robe on and just show up and believe that it doesn't matter what robe I'm wearing. You are just going to be happy that we're in conversation together today. So that's it. That was the whole point of that story, which was to say that I absolutely hate returning clothes to Amazon. And yeah, I'm in a different robe. And sometimes when you change your outfit, you change your attitude, you change your mindset, your mood. We talked about that before. And anyways, black it is. Black is bold and confident as well. And yeah, so confidence. Let's dive into it for a little bit. My friend, many of you are in a leadership role. There are many of you, especially in school nutrition, who are following me right now, who are tuning in. There are many of you in the industry, so you're in sales. And and even if you're not and you are a stay-at-home parent, like you're still in some sort of a leadership role, like people are counting on you. And I just there is like this notion that you have to have it all figured out and you have to know everything in order to be a great leader. And I don't buy that. I just think that the most vulnerable leaders are the ones that get people to follow them. That's the whole point of leadership. The whole point of leadership, it's truly is the art of getting people to follow you. It's the art of influence. And so if you are so full of it confidence wise and you're almost arrogant and you're like, I've got this and I'm the best leader and all these things, and you're not being vulnerable and you're not sharing stories like stories that we share on here, and you hold all that in and then you feel like you have to know it all, my friend, you're not showing up as the best leader. I have seen young directors who struggle with this, young food service directors, and they are so afraid to go into the kitchen and to work alongside their teams or to even question anything because they don't have the answer for everything. And so, because they don't have the answer, they avoid it because they're afraid if someone asks them, or maybe if something's happening and they don't recognize it's not supposed to be, then it makes them somehow unfit to be a food service director. And it's just not true. I have learned along the way that my confidence has been built by putting myself in situations that are uncomfortable, meaning I put myself in a kitchen and I learned how to run a dish machine and I learned how to get on the line and serve the kiddos. And I learned how to use a scale and the different scoop sizes, like all those things I was afraid of and I didn't know. And because I didn't know those things and I felt like I had to know those things, that it played on my mental, I would say like mental health, but it really played into my confidence level because I kept thinking, who am I? It's like an imposter syndrome situation. Like, who am I to be in this role? Because I don't know these things. And then it was especially bad because I wasn't a dietitian. I didn't have a degree. I don't have a degree now. And I used to lead into all of my conversations with like, but I'm not a dietitian or I don't have a degree. And it's like, those are things that never come out of my mouth anymore, unless if I'm trying to coach somebody else up to say, look at me. If I've been able to do this, so can you. If you're looking at someone else because they have the degree and they think, well, that somehow puts them better off than you, that's not true. Yes, they might have this accolade that they've accomplished, and it's great. I surround myself with people all the time who have degrees, and I think it's fantastic. It was their route, their avenue of learning. But there are also other ways to learning, my friend. And for me, it has been through podcasts, it has been through YouTube videos, it's been through coaching series, it's been through professional development, it's been through going to personal growth conferences. You don't have to be doing what everyone else is doing. Now, did you guys watch the Grammys recently and Justin Bieber got on the stage with only a pair of boxers on? Okay. I'm pretty sure they were boxers. They were shorts, they were silky, they looked like pajamas, but he only got on stage with a pair of boxers. He had a guitar and a microphone. That was it. There wasn't like this production, there wasn't anything other than a very simple setup. And it hit me. So, this is like where my mind goes. My sister is watching it and drooling and like, oh my gosh, it's Justin Bieber, right? And I'm looking at this like, oh my gosh, what an example that he is showing everybody to say, don't do what everyone else is doing. What you think is the right way because everyone else is doing it. In fact, maybe if you go the opposite direction, you might have way more traction, more confidence. Like that took confidence to get on the stage and do that, especially because everyone else has this big old production and they're all done up in makeup and they have all the backup singers and they have all these things going on and they're dancing and they're trying to put on a show, but his was absolutely different than anyone else's or anything that I've honestly seen in a long time. And guess what? People are talking about Justin Bieber all over TikTok. Like that's been the topic of conversation was his performance. No one else's. So remember that. Stop trying to compare yourself to what someone else is doing. That's their lane. That's their road. And that is what works for them. That is okay. And I would be willing to bet that out of the 10 people that you might be watching and thinking they've got their life together and they're confident and they're all these things, that out of those 10 people, probably 8 of them are feeling like you. They're not truly feeling confident. They're showing up in a way that looks like the right way according to our society. But then that weighs on you and you can't actually be who you are. It took confidence to do this podcast in a robe. When I first told people that I was going to get in front of a camera, especially my family, and I said, I'm going to be in a robe on a couch or on a chair, something comfy. Can you? I mean, the looks that I got from some people, I could read their thoughts just from their looks. It was like, you're gonna what? You're gonna be in a robe? And like their mind instantly went to like, I'm gonna be like salacious and it's gonna be this thing. And like, are you sure you wanna do that? Like you're in the school nutrition world. K-12 is very conservative, and then you're gonna be sitting in a robe. And it was a big deal that I was gonna do this podcast in a robe. And there was a moment where I thought, okay, maybe I just don't do the robe. I need to maybe put on like a blazer, or I should just not talk about certain things. I have shared some very deep personal things on this podcast. And there has been a fear in the back of my mind that I could lose a contract because of this. I might have school districts who won't partner with me because I am sharing things that are deeply personal and somewhat maybe disturbing to other people. And I'm sitting in a robe, and like, who's going to take somebody serious, like sitting in a robe under a blanket? But my friend, that's what this is all about. And the one thing that I have learned over and over again is that I become the most confident when I follow my gut and my heart. When I start doing what I think I should be doing according to other people's opinions is when I feel out of alignment. And then anything that I do it's not genuine. It's not who I am. And who I am is somebody who will sit here and drop a cuss word every once in a while. Is someone who's going to wear the robe, who's going to talk about having sex at 14 years old and doing drugs and, filing bankruptcy and just all those things. Like, if I don't share those parts of me, if I don't show up here as myself, the work that I'm doing is not going to be meaningful or impactful. And I want you to step towards your purpose. I want you to find the confidence to do the thing that scares the shit out of you. Because once you do that, you are going to inspire other people around you. And some people are like, well, I'm not really into or care about what other people think about me or trying to inspire them. Well, that might be the case for you, but majority do care. The majority of you want other people to be successful. The majority of you wants our country to be in a better place. The majority of you want to show up and be your best self. And then in turn, like your kids will show up and they be the best version of themselves. So let's not kid each other here. I am trying to walk the walk as I'm sharing my journey with you. I'm trying to be as real as I possibly can. And I hope that that shows you that you don't need to be as vulnerable as me. Okay. You don't need to walk into your workplace and say, guys, here's all of my laundry list of shit I've done over the years. You don't need to do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm in the personal growth space. Personal growth means doing that inner work. It is going through the mindset, it is going through those things. That doesn't mean if you're an executive at Goldman Sachs or you are, working at a daycare that you need to just spill the beans on your whole life. You don't have to. But I do think that especially if you are in a leadership role and you come across a team member who is struggling and who keeps giving you pushback and it just seems like that no matter what you do, they're never happy. If you break your wall down a little bit and share something that's personal with them that kind of connects and relates, they stop looking at you as some sort of just figure, like some sort of job title, and they start looking at you like you're human. And that's all people want. We just want to connect with people who are real, not this fake stuff. It's just like AI. I can read AI. I can I can pick it out of the sky like just so easy when I am on social media and I see like these people who I have followed for a really long time who are now just posting things that are so like generic, and what you see on one then you start seeing on another, it's like AI wrote that for you. Why are we letting AI write all of our stuff? Yes, I talk to AI. I will give it my ideas. I will take my podcast scripts. So when I record my voice, my what I'm saying, um, I put it into an editing software, and that editing software generates a script for me. It generates everything that I said, my words. Then I use that and I will put into AI to then say, help me write a caption using my voice, my words to go along with this clip or whatever. I'm not saying don't use AI, but if you're trying to build your confidence, we definitely don't want to show up and be someone we're not. Okay. And that's what some people are doing right now. And then that doesn't align with who you are. And also, people will call BS and realize, well, this isn't really who she is or who he is. So, yeah, that's just lean into it. Do something that scares you. I'm not trying to add pressure to you, but I am trying to nudge you along a little bit to say, I would not be owning a business right now and employing a few women on the team and being in 6 states with school districts, partnering with them, traveling the country doing keynotes and being able to live the life that I truly want to live. I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't just trust myself. And I know that that's scary to do because sometimes we're taught not to do that. Maybe as a child, you were always told that you were doing something wrong. It was never good enough. And when you would make a decision or you would do something, you were always in trouble. I mean, that kind of happened to me. Not kind of, a lot as a kid, right? Like if I wasn't just perfect, if I didn't just do everything I needed to do, I found myself grounded. I mean, it was kind of a joke between my best friend and I. It was just like, she's like, oh wait, you're not grounded. I was grounded for everything. Now I love my mom, so it's not a shade to her. It's just, we are not always taught how to trust ourselves. And the only way you will start trusting yourself is when you start building relationship with yourself, and you have to give yourself an opportunity to succeed. When you enter into some sort of relationship with somebody else, the trust is built over time, right? It's built through action. You build the trust that way. So the only way you're going to build confidence is by trusting yourself. It's by kind of giving the benefit of the doubt and saying, look, go do this. It might scare me right now. It might scare me to do this, but if I do this, I know deep down that on the other side of it, I'm going to feel great. Yeah, maybe speaking in front of people right now, that scares me, and I don't know what it's going to look like on the other side, but I know that if I just share my story, it's going to be okay and it's going to help somebody. Yeah, I had to do the same thing. I used to break out in hives. I could never speak in front of people. I had to go get coaching on how to speak because my first year as a food service director, I couldn't even get in front of the convocation, like the back to school meeting that they have with all staff. My superintendent was like, you need to give an update to all staff for nutrition services. And I was like, what? Breaking out in hives and stuttering and just dry mouth. So I've been there. And now it's like I do get nervous every time I get on stage. I'm still nervous, but I don't get to that extreme. So it starts with just believing in yourself, and that belief and that trust all comes by taking action. You just have to take one step. That's it. You just have to do one thing that scares the crap out of you. And once you do it, I promise you, you are going to be like, all right, that's, I didn't die. Like nothing too crazy happened. And then it's going to be easier to say yes to the next thing that scares you. Just know that I'm rooting for you, and that if you haven't already liked, shared, and subscribed to the podcast, please do that. It helps people who need this information. It helps reach them. And more to come on my coaching experience. But until next time, keep your light burning from ash to dusk.